Hey guys, it is I, Becca Lori Hector here, back with Becca's Backyard Live. As you can see, I am still sitting in the same place because while I did get my really cool beanbag chair and I love it, and so did the cats, I did not get myself organized to clean out the other room so that I can be inside. So what I'm hoping is, because a bunch of you guys told me that that last week the buffering was better and all of that jazz was better and stuff. So I'm hoping that today will be just as good and we'll have some good signal and we'll be able to talk about some stuff for a little bit. And maybe, just maybe, next week I will be able to get myself organized to maybe get us inside. So that the wind is a little bit better, I guess. But let's see how it goes. I can currently hear what sounds like the garbage truck coming, so that will be fun. But anyway, welcome to Becca's Backyard Live. Here we are on a Tuesday afternoon for me here in Colorado. I just got back from the supermarket and I'm pooped. I am so I know that if I really paid attention to myself right now, I would see that I have very few spoons left. But the ones that I do have left are definitely for you guys on a Tuesday. How can they not be? Hey Miriam, hi Michelle, hi Carrie. Glad to see you guys here. Glad to see you back for our little fun support groupie type thing that we're doing. I like it so much that this new idea of doing it as a support group that people can come and go from, even though there's like a nice solid base for us. Hey Nancy. Nice solid base, like core group of us, but I don't mind it that people kind of phase in and phase out, come check it out. But that's what we are really. It's a virtual support group, I guess, in which we kind of pick a topic and cover that topic. You guys share with me in your chat, in the chat, and I share with you this way. And then, of course, a bunch of us end up talking afterwards, or I hope you guys talk to each other. I hope you guys have made friends with each other that you see here every week, and find each other on Facebook. And I think all of you are in Neurodiversity Newsstand. So yay. I think that's amazing. And so I hope you guys are making friends out of this whole situation. I am feeling a little pensive, also feeling very much like I need a haircut. And I know that's crazy because I'm growing out my hair and all of that fun stuff, but I've hit a point where I think it's too long, you guys. When I did the presentation, the webinar a couple weeks back, if you caught it, I'm glad you didn't. If you didn't catch it, it's up on my website for purchase. But when I did that and I looked through the pictures of me before my diagnosis, but as an adult, with all of them had long hair, because I had long hair well into after my diagnosis until I finally had the courage to cut it all off and I went pixie. But now I'm in that growing out process, and I think I can't handle myself with really long hair. I looked at those pictures, and those pictures have been haunting me since I did that, and I've been thinking about it, and since I'm in the grow out process. And I think really long hair doesn't feel like me anymore. It doesn't feel like who I am. Like, that was part of my coping mechanism, part of the mask that I wore was my long hair. And I don't quite exactly want to revert. So I think this, or maybe like a little bit longer, might be the length, but no further than here. And I think I'm at it, you guys. Just waiting for like the last vestiges down here, or maybe it's a little higher up, of the hair dye to come up, to get cut off as it grows out. So, but I had this like epiphany about it after a week ago, and that's part of alexithymia, right? I had that feeling about it when I saw it, but I didn't recognize it, and then it came back to me, these few weeks later, and I think that's what it's about. And so as I'm dealing with the grow out, I kind of don't want to revert to that. So that's where I'm at, you guys. Kind of feeling out where I want to be in my life. Yes, Carrie, right? Sometimes you wish you could change your name. And I kind of did. I mean, my name is legally Rebecca, right? But my whole life, anybody who really knew me or who really cared about me or was important to me called me Becca. And the people that called me Rebecca were always people in like authority, or doctors, my teachers, right? And yeah, when I got to my diagnosis point, and about a little year through it, that's when I started cutting my hair in search of I never had the courage to really be me all the time. And so, kind of trying to figure out who me was. Is me with short hair? Is me with long hair? Is me with colored hair? All of that stuff. And so, yeah, I also went and I went by, now I go by all the time, Becca, because that's who I really am. I mean, that's who I am underneath it all, right? Rebecca it feels so formal, and it doesn't feel like me. It doesn't feel like my name. And so I hear you on the changing of the name, right? Yeah. Oh, Miriam keeps changing her hair about. Yeah, you keep changing your mind about hair and everything, right? And I go through cycles. We all kind of go through cycles. But I'm realizing that there's this connection between me with long hair and seeing myself in the mirror with long hair and who I used to be. And so I'm having a struggle with thinking about kind of reverting past this like medium length to like a really long length down here. It feels disingenuous to me to who I am now. And so I don't know, I'm having a little struggle about it, but luckily I can't go get a haircut right now. So who cares? I can't do anything about it. So I'm just going to sit in it and allow myself to feel it. What else? Okay, so before we get on to the topic for today, I want to just make a quick announcement to you guys. Don't know if you saw it on Facebook or on social media, wherever you follow me, but I did it, you guys. I am putting together the course finally. So if you saw the webinar, Self-Defined Living, Creating a Life I Don't Need a Vacation From, that is the backstory for this course that I'm building and going to give to you guys. It's the things that worked and the order in which they worked in order to create that life that we want to love, and in order to create our best life or our best selves that we want to be in the world, right? So what I did was I took the course and I'm breaking it down into 3 units, and the 3 units are going to be coming out one at a time. And the very first one, unit 1, is called Stepping Forward, and it's the beginning of all of that stuff for you guys. And so that is up for registration now. It's $85, so a little bit more than the other webinar, because this one is coming with the stuff that you need to work through the tool, right? So I'll be giving you 3 downloadable exercises. They're companion exercises that go along with the lessons in each unit, and those will be downloadable exercises for you to use. I'll also be doing group coaching calls with you guys. And then I will also have, for a discounted rate, my one-on-one mentoring calls if you want that. Eventually, I'll be putting out all 3 units, and there'll be packages for you to purchase whatever level you feel like investment you can make, right? So if it's just a single unit and that's all you can afford, or if you want to sign on for all 3 units, and that kind of stuff. But you'll be able to make that decision. I think that this week I'll try to get the rest of it up. But the very first one is up. You can go ahead and register for it now. It is called Stepping Forward, and it will be released officially to you guys on the 10th of June. I will be recording the webinar piece to go along with it with the PowerPoint, and that will be released to you guys on the 10th of June. Whenever you register, you have up until then to register for it, and then you can kind of go at your own pace, watch it when you're ready, and do the exercises as you're ready. And hopefully, within 2 months of that, I'll have the next unit, and within 2 months of that, I'll have the next unit and that. And so I hope to be able to offer you guys packages, and I hope you'll have enough kind of faith in me for the content that you will invest in all 3 units for yourself, because I don't think I'm ever going to offer them at this price again. It's sort of my beta price because it's the first time I'm running through it. So I'm giving a break on that. So please go take a look at that. It's up on my website. I'll put a link here in the description for you guys, but do go check it out. I would really appreciate your support on this one, because I had such great feedback and such a great time doing the last one that it just gave me the courage to push through and to start putting together the rest of them for you guys. So I'm excited. Yeah, I hope you guys will like it. And it's been keeping me up at night. It's been the 4 o'clock waking me up for ideas kind of thing. So I'm excited to be able to finally share it with you guys. So that is it. That's housekeeping announcements. And I hope you guys will check it out and that kind of thing. But I think it's time to move on to this week's topic. And this week's topic comes from you guys. So as many of you know, or those of you that follow me pretty regularly, you know that in addition to my YouTube channel, I also do once a month, I do Asking Spectrum Women, which is a monthly Q&A that I host for Spectrum Women magazine. And I do that on their YouTube channel, though I also upload it onto my channel so you guys can see it, and I can just have them around to know where they are. So I do that, and then a lot of you guys also participate in that. We kind of have a lot of overlap, and so some of you had sent questions to me for May, and like I said in that video, I wasn't able to get to all the questions this month, and I can't believe that you guys are so into it, and I'm finally getting I don't know, I'm getting a reception with this, with Asking Spectrum Women, and I'm finally getting more questions than I can handle in a month, which is great because I know that you guys are getting something from those videos and you're asking for more, which is a great, amazing feeling for me, and it definitely keeps me going. And I will, I do get to all of those questions, but a couple of you asked some questions that I don't think that were extremely juicy and exciting and good talking questions for us to discuss, but they were also I don't want them to sit around. I don't want you sitting around and waiting for those answers if it's something that you're struggling with now. So why make you wait until June, right? So I thought maybe I'd tackle some of those questions here, or some of those topics really, that you guys have brought up to me in there, and we haven't quite gotten to in Asking Spectrum Women. So Carrie, in particular, I'm glad you're here today because I'm going to be using your question, not your question exactly, but your topic. So the topic for today's live stream is self-worth. It is all about self-worth and what self-worth means, and where it comes from and what it's for and all of that fun stuff. So let's talk about it. Yay, right, Carrie? No reason to wait till June. So I don't want to read Carrie's question word for word. It'll take a bit of time. So I'm just going to give you kind of the gist of what it was that she was asking. So she grew up in a family where appearances and conforming to norms and good behavior were very important. And now she's realizing that she forces what she calls ableism onto herself, which is that people pleasing, that making other people happy, that putting your stuff to the side for other people thing, right? And so that's kind of what she's talking about. And I have actually talked to you guys a little bit about how many of us are finding as we age on the spectrum, we kind of get this hot pocket in our 20s and 30s where our coping mechanisms are on point and everything is just kind of functioning. And then we're noticing, those of us in our 40s, 50s, and beyond, that we're getting this kind of what's a regression, I guess, and we're returning to a lot of symptomology that we had as kids, or that or our tolerance level for the symptomology is going back down to that level that we were struggling with at at the earlier stages in our life when we didn't have quite all those tools. And so that's a kind of regression that we're all noticing, and Carrie too is noticing that regression, and that her functioning level is kind of getting lower and lower. Her threshold, the amount of stuff that she can do, is getting lower and lower, and that she's now on SSDI, which is Social Security. So some of us in America end up on government supports, which is called Social Security, when we get old and retire, and that's what we put in for our taxes. And those of us who have a disabling condition can collect SSDI, which is Social Security Disability Insurance, that we can get before we retire. So many of us get that substitute to our income. I know in the UK you guys have a different system and it all works differently and it's much better, but this is the situation here in America. And so as we're on those systems, and our functionality is changing, how do we define ourselves? So eventually the question really gets asked, and the question is, how can I still feel valued or productive as a human being if I don't work? If I need government benefits to survive, does this mean I lack self-determination? Although my awareness is growing, I still have an inner dialogue telling me my own self-worth is based on the judgment of others. Well, if that doesn't sound familiar to all of us, I don't know what does, right? So many of us who were diagnosed late in life and grew up with our coping mechanisms as the only way that we could survive. We didn't understand ourselves. And so a lot of what we did what other people told us to do because it was the right thing, right? And clearly we were doing the wrong thing all of the time. And so the opposite of what it is that we wanted to do was kind of what everyone else was asking of us, right? And so for many of us, it's checking off those boxes. It's finding a partner, a life partner, right? Getting married, having children, having a good job, right? Having a good income, paying all your bills, right? It's those things that everybody tells you that's what it means to be an adult, right? That means you're a productive member of society, is what they like to say, right? So as they like to throw that at us. But here's the deal. All of those measurements, Carrie, all of them, and all of you guys, right? All of those measurements are made by neurotypical standards. And that is the truth, right? So all of that weight, all of that pressure, all of that, those check boxes, those check boxes weren't made for our brains. They weren't made for what works in our lives. And so what we're doing is stuffing ourselves further down, right, in order to check off these boxes for everybody else, for everybody else's comfort. So I've talked to you guys a lot about being comfortable or becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? And Carrie, this is the time. Here comes the discomfort, right? Because what it's going to take is the rerouting of your brain. You're going to be needing to really say, when I am judging myself, whose standards am I judging myself by, right? Are they mine or are they somebody else's? And you're also going to practice the pause and also say to yourself, right, is this stuff important to me? Is it a preference to me? Do I want to spend spoons on it? A good way of putting it is, does this action support the kind of life that I want to live, right? Or is this action in alignment with the life I'm trying to build, right? And that is where the uncomfortable is, right? Because the easy thing to do is to please everybody, right? That is just the easiest thing to do, is to run around trying to make everyone else happy so you're not the squeaky wheel. But that is not living. That is not thriving. That is white knuckle survival, right? And that's the place we're trying to walk away from. So when you're trying to rebuild those judgment places, remember that you're heading towards a goal that you're creating for yourself. You're heading towards a life that you want to build. And when somebody asks you for something that derails you from your own path, it better be worth it, man. Right? And so every time you're going to use your spoons on someone other than yourself, and you're going to use your spoons for an activity other than chasing your own goal and creating your own life, you have to ask yourself every time, is this thing, whatever it is, in alignment with the life that I'm trying to create? If it is, great. Go spend your spoons on it. If it isn't, really think about how many spare spoons do you have to use on something other than your goal, right? And when we start making those choices, we realize how unhealthy it is to be looking at ourselves through other people's judgments, right? They have no idea of the struggles that you're dealing with. They have no idea of what action and activities it takes for you to feel like a fulfilled person. They don't know any of those things. And so who are they to judge? Really, the only person that sits in a place of judgment for you and has the authority to is you. And if it's not your voice and your filter that everything is going through, but the voice of somebody else, the voice, the noises, the voices out there, the chitter chatters, right? If that's where your choices are coming from, they're not coming from an authentic place. And I don't think you'll ever be authentically happy in it, right? There was, I don't want to look back, because there was something in particular you said, and it struck me every single time I read it, and I want to make sure I talk about it. Okay. Although my awareness is growing, I still have an inner dialogue telling me my own self-worth is based on the judgment of others. Okay. And that is the key, right? You hold the key and you've already started to unlock the door, right? Because recognizing that you're doing the activity that you don't want to be doing, making that acknowledgement that it's not okay, is the first step in setting those boundaries. It's the first step in beginning to step forward into the life that you want to live. It's saying, you know what, this is going on and it's always gone on and it's been okay before, but it's not okay anymore, right? It's not kind of the way to be anymore. It's not to seek anymore. And so what you want to say is that inner voice that you keep hearing telling you your value is based on the voice of others, That is the reprogram piece. That is the key to all of it, is reprogramming that inner voice, taking those new things. Does this align with the life that I want to live? Is this someplace that I want to spend my spoons? Is this person taking me away, or this activity taking me away from the goals that I'm setting myself? Or are they keeping me on alignment, right? Because if it keeps you in alignment, if helping this person is part of a goal that you're trying to achieve, by all means do it. But what we're trying to avoid is having other people's emergencies kind of pull us away from our path, and having other people's voices kind of be the voices that shape what it is that we're building. But instead, we want to use our own thoughts and feelings and preferences and wants and needs to make those choices, right? And so that's the beginning, and so you recognize it, and every time you recognize that it's happening, you want to take the pause, right? Figure out why it doesn't work for you, what you're going to do about it, and then take action, right? And you're going to take control of the situations that are making you feel judged. Chances are, I'm going to take a giant guess, that they're the areas in your life where you feel the most insecure, right? Not your special interests, not that. And so for many of us, it's certainly my place of insecurity is employment, right? And if we're not able to kind of build the facade that everybody's looking for, they're going to get to know who we really are. And we've always been told that who we really are is broken and unacceptable. So there you have the basis for the ideas that other people can go ahead and judge us. And if you want to get out of that habit, because that's all that it is a habit. It's the habitual conversation in your head. No one else is hearing that conversation. Nobody else is participating in that conversation. Nobody's even giving that conversation energy except for you. And so what you want to do is change the direction of that conversation, shift everything around, so that what's going on in here matches what's going on out here and can lead you to where you want to go out there, right? It's a multi-step process, right? And I really just want everyone to understand that there's nobody that has a right to sit in judgment of your life and the choices that you are making. That's not to say you're perfect. That's not to say you won't make mistakes. That's not to say that you won't fall on your face. But it is the job of the people who care about you most and those that surround you to help you get back up and help you be your wonderful, resilient self and try again, right? It is not the job of the people in your life to sit there and say, oh, you made a mistake. I told you it wouldn't work. Why are you even doing this? You should do that. You should do that. And if those are the people that you're surrounding yourself with, that's another change you have to think about making, right? Because who needs to be surrounded by all of that? Nobody. Let me just catch up a little bit in chat here. Yeah, well, we all wish we were cats. I'm glad to see that we're all part of the same crew, cat ladies. Yes, being cats would be very nice, especially being one of my own cats. They're incredibly spoiled. It would be very, very nice. Yes, a house cat. It would be nice to be a cushy house cat, of course. Yeah, okay. Well, let's discuss later, I guess, whether or not the option to be a cat is better. But since it isn't really an option for us right now, this is the second option. This is the better way, right? It's about empowering yourself and understanding that your self-worth comes from only one place. It comes from in here and in here, right? Because the created conversation and the feelings, or whether they're unrecognizable or not, all of that stuff, it's personal. It's to you. It's how you are processing your stuff, right? Nobody else is involved in how you feel about it. So why should how they feel about it get involved in your decision making? It doesn't have to. And of course, that's not to say you don't go ask people for their opinion and you don't go ask for help if you don't need it. But you want to be choosing the right sources for your help. And when you're taking opinions, you need to take them with a grain of salt, right? Everybody has their own opinion and it all comes from their specific perspective. Right? And so what you want to do is like take in all the different bits of information, be informed, and then you want to make a decision from that place. So go ahead, ask for opinions, ask for help, ask for advice, and then take that all collectively, look at it all, and make your informed decision. But that ultimate decision of what you're going to do, how you're going to act, how you're going to behave, right, lies only with you. And so it can only be that your self-worth lies there too. And if you're part of the negative conversation, which I hate to say, a lot of us become part of our negative conversation, right? If you're agreeing, right, with a lot of the things that these people are saying, that's another piece of the self-worth that you have to work with, right? Because now you've begun to believe other people instead of trusting in here. And that's the place that we need to seek to return to. Our authentic selves know. We have to learn to trust our authentic selves. So what I say is, in all, Carrie, self-worth comes from here. If the people you're surrounding yourself with don't see your self-worth, it's not that you don't have any and not that you shouldn't have any. It's that they don't have any and they need to go. So clear them out or silence them or mute them. Right? I have plenty of people that on my social media muted that have no idea that I don't want to see a single thing that they have to share, because I don't. It makes me negative. It makes me angry. It irritates me for whatever reason. And so I mute them. And all of that is a choice. And it's all your choice. So you can very quickly turn around your self-worth when you realize where it's coming from. I do want to touch on the fact that I know that the Social Security, right, the government support issue is a big deal for a lot of us. It's still a big deal for me. I know I dream of a life where I feel secure enough to let it go and let it be somebody else's, because I like to imagine that I can build that place. But right now, the way that the world is set up for everybody, it's not set up for us. And so we need to take extra help, right? And in this time and in this place and in this life, your version of extra help may be Social Security. It might be government support. It might be living at your parents' house. It might be any number of things that can, by society's standards, decrease your value, right? But what you're really doing is asking for help and you're getting support in a world that isn't built for you. And until we have full inclusion, that's just the way that it is. That's the reality. I hope that helps spin it some. I see you guys that you guys are reading along and agreeing with me, and it was a great question, wasn't it, Carrie? Really good question. I probably will still answer it for Asking Spectrum Women in June because I think other people deserve to hear the answer. But the thought of you sitting around for a month waiting for an answer to this question, when it is more important to me than anything that you guys, especially our little core group, really feels supported and feels really heard, and that we're sharing all of that stuff. And so, Carrie, hope that this helps. I'm glad you can re-listen to when it gets noisy in your head. That's the best part of all of these recordings and all the stuff that I do, is that it's there for you to go back to. Listen to the one sentence that I managed to say that was the aha moment for you, whatever it is that works for you. But yes, and we all get noisy heads, and you will cycle through this again. You will make mistakes and let other people judge you. You will get off path, but don't be mean to yourself about it. It's hard to recreate habits. It's hard to redo these things. So don't beat yourself up for your mistakes or falling back into old habits as you're working through creating these new habits. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Yay. It felt helpful to me, and it felt so good to be able to talk about how important self-worth is for autistic adults and why it's so hard for us to have any. And it's not our fault, and we can rebuild it, and you can gain self-worth, and you can understand self-worth, and you can absolutely begin to value your wants and needs and your preferences. I promise. Okay, a little bit of a long live stream today, but I hope it was helpful. It was a really juicy question and important for us to talk about. And if you guys want to continue the conversation, by all means, you can send me an email at info@beccalaurie.com. If you have a topic that you want us to talk about, send me an email there too. Or you can just comment wherever you're watching this video. I get all the comments. I promise I reply to them. But yeah. So that was self-worth. I hope you're feeling a little better about yourself, Carrie, and I hope you're ready to, I hope all of you are ready to step forward out into the world and begin creating this life for yourselves, because you can. We can. All of us can. Well, we deserve to thrive. We don't have to settle for surviving anymore. It doesn't have to be. All right, that's it for me. I'm getting off my soapbox. I will see you guys on Friday with Neurodiversity Newsstand in the afternoon, which is the vlog of the summary of the news in neurodiversity that we are seeing in our neurodiversity newsstand groups and all over the interwebs. And then, of course, on Tuesdays, every Tuesday at 2:20 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, right here on this channel, I do a live stream, Becca's Backyard Live. I would love to hear from you guys. Let me know if you like what I'm doing. Let me know if you hate it. I love the thumbs up. I love your comments and emails. Please stay in touch with me and stay in touch with each other. We're here for everybody. Bye, everybody. I'll see you guys next week. Have a good one. And stay in touch with me on social media. I don't like not hearing from you all week. Bye, guys.